what do we do in business? How do we remain connected when someone's not in our presence?
Find your room, pick out who you want to hang out with, and make sure the people in the room are smarter than you or use AI. Are they that busy? Oh, wait, they just closed. They just shuttered their doors because they didn't know how to manage.
Do something worth remarking about. Make it easy to remark about it. That's it. Just do PR for me. Just do social for me. And then they light money on fire every single month, like you said, and they get.
And people are snipping through this glue so quickly that it's not even fun anymore. As this big tsunami of AI is coming, there's two things that are going to be super important.
What about when they're still kind of lurking behind the scenes and they haven't booked yet? How do you engage?
Because that's the stuff that AI is never going to be able to replace. And you did that for 15 to 20 years, you'd be a multi-billionaire.
Am I building a business in a world where we're going to have more or less robots, more or less AI? The most successful entrepreneurs are the ones that understand how to.
Caspers are running around daily, nightly, and they're stealing money out of people's businesses. And that's what we want to try to figure out. How
but he's a friendly ghost. He's a friendly ghost, at least. Casper is,
That's why you let him in.
So we got to fix that. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my ghosted guest, Brady. We've been talking about this for a while. Who the heck is this show for? Why should they listen? Why should they care? What's my ghosted guest? Tell me. I'm sitting here with bated breath.
Okay, we've been talking about my ghosted guest for a while, and we've been trying to put the finger on what the real problem is if you're trying to find a pain point. And find a pain point with me, right? I've been running an agency for 20 years, and I've worked with clients who have websites, social media, and it's the
What kind of clients? What kind of clients? Because I think that's it. I think that's important because I think that the business that you do is different than a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners that I've worked with in the past.
All clients that we work with are hospitality brands, people who experience what they want to do with luxury products and sustainability. They have messages, right? They have missions and messages, and they're trying to reach an audience. And what they want to do is they want to do the same old trick is find someone new, nurture them into a buyer, and then hopefully they become a lifetime partnership that they can continually show love to, etc. And I think what our clients I'm starting to see be echoed again and again is that there's a lack of engagement. And that's kind of the base level of my ghosted guest. I mean, I've had many festivals. I've been doing festivals forever. We've worked with brands and we've eaten at some of the most amazing restaurants, but the days are numbered with AI. And I call it the AI tsunami. That's looming off the coast of America and just about every business that's out there. And everybody's businesses are built on stilts. So as this big tsunami of AI is coming, there's two things that are going to be super important. One, connection and engagement, because that's the stuff that AI is never going to be able to replace. The human connection and the engagement that makes the other person feel seen. Currently today, the ghost situation is at an all-time high. Caspers are running around daily, nightly, and they're stealing money out of people's businesses. And that's what we want to try to figure out.
But he's a friendly ghost. He's a friendly ghost, at least. Casper is,
That's why you let him in. Caspers are friendly, but there's the mean Caspers too. The ones
that was my first date. If you can count it a date when your mom takes you and your 7th grade girlfriend to the movie theater in the back of your Mazda minivan. Casper, that was it. So there's something interesting in what you're sharing on this idea of connection and engagement. And I know why we wanted to have this conversation and publish it and share it, especially for folks in the world of hospitality, because I think it's interesting. There's kind of this paradox where I think folks in hospitality understand this better than anyone else. They understand what it is to give someone a 5-star experience when they're in their presence, right? When they're there with them in person. I've experienced it when you joined me and my team at my business partner and his cabin for our mastermind, and you flew in a box of lobsters and brought a bunch of tomahawks, and like you gave us an experience over the course of 3 days, um, unlike any that I had ever had before. And in that moment, I saw, oh, like Brady gets it. He knows how to cultivate experience. He knows how to cultivate connection and engagement when you're in the kitchen, you're with someone eyeball to eyeball, you're giving them that experience. And I think a big thing that, and the reason why we're having this conversation now is because one, hospitality gets this better than anyone else. But at the same time, like you said, the AI tsunami, the automation and AIification of everything, um, really leaves us looking to the future of like, what do we do in business? How do we remain connected? And really for hospitality businesses, how do we do that right now and today when someone's not in our presence and when they're online, they're visiting us on social, what happens between visits, right?
Yeah, I mean, from what I'm hearing you say is that AI is here. It's a big part of our lives. And there's going to be a hybrid in every single business, right? On some side of business owners, AI comes first. Now, what AI first means to me is that everybody, I'm not as smart as AI. I don't think Gabe's as smart as, I don't think anybody I know is as smart as AI at this point. So why are my teams still asking me questions when they can ask, when back in the day it was like, ask Jeeves. And then it became, why am I Google? Now it's AI, right? And we're going to get at a place where it's going to start assisting people be better, faster, more efficient. And it's going to assist businesses, but the business owner is always going to be in this clutch position to determine how hybrid are we going to be and where does connection and engagement land for my audience and my future buyer, right? So that is the tenet here of we don't want to look at AI as a negative source of opportunity. It is an extremely positive source. It's a positive tsunami if you know how to reinforce your business right now, right?
Yeah, 100%. Because I think, Naval Ravikant made it famous. He's the founder of AngelList, big entrepreneur, investor, advisor in kind of Silicon Valley. If you check him out on Twitter, he's one of my favorite follows on X, probably. He talks about the idea of leverage. He says that the wealthy and the most successful entrepreneurs are the ones that understand how to employ leverage. They know how to put capital. We've all heard the idea of it takes money to make money, or they know how to build a team. They know how to find players and build a team. I think there's a resort in Santa Barbara called Bacara. If you've been to, gives you a phenomenal experience. I think they were actually purchased by the same group that owns Ritz-Carlton now, although they were previously kind of independently run. That company, that resort knows really well how to get leverage through people. They know how to create a great in-person experience. And as we move into this digital world, I think being able to get leverage with connection and engagement and figuring out what are the things that the robots should do and what are the things that the humans should do is a really important question for us to be wrestling with. Because I don't know about you, but when I look to the future and I ask myself, okay, am I raising my kids? Am I building a business in a world where we're going to have more or less robots, more or less AI, more or less of these tools that are smarter than me and you and anyone on our team? So it's like, well, obviously it's going to be more and more. So then what do I do? What do I do with that? And here's what I think. Here's the bet that I'm making. And if it were just me, I would say, don't listen to me on this, but the big dogs, the Gary V's of the world, are making the same bet, which is as we move into this world where there's more automation, more AI, more digital, people are going to crave that connection even more. They're going to want the authentic, they're going to want the human, and they're going to look for those moments in the digital experience when they're connected on social, when they visit your website. So then the question becomes like, how in the heck do you do that? And I think that's entirely the premise of what this conversation is all about. What my Ghost to Guest is about. How do you do that? Because you're obviously not going to ghost someone if they're in your presence, if they're in your restaurant, at your resort, you name it, having an event at your space. But what about before they show up? What about after? What about when they're still kind of lurking behind the scenes and they haven't booked yet? How do you engage?
Well, I think what you're kind of pointing at is, you know, why does this conversation exist?
Mhm.
How are we going to solve a problem for people listening? And what is our promise? What's the culture? What do we like? What do we believe in? And yeah, I mean, there's going to be a hybrid adaptation of AI. That's just going to have to happen in any business, right?
Mhm.
And if somebody's not using AI 90% of the day, then probably chances, and this is a Dan Martell vibe, like if you're not on it 90% of the day, then you're probably not working here. And you talk about Naval Ravikant, you're talking about some of these big like leaders in the space. They all have AI departments and they want to be on the front end of the conversation. This is as shiny new toy as a cell phone was or as the internet was, and there was always non-adapters to that situation. I think find your room, pick out who you want to hang out with, and make sure the people in the room are smarter than you or use AI, right? Like this is really just the baseline facts of it. When you look at engagement and what we're going to talk about with my ghosted guest, you're looking at what is the stages in which we need to be personal and at what points do we bring in digital and what points can digital make us more money, automate things and help us scale. But right now, everybody's trying to take a leap 3 doors past the house that's actually got the party, which is we got to figure out how engagement works right now. Because honestly, man, like I've been eating out at restaurants, and I'm just going to give a classic example. Beautiful restaurant, amazing Instagram. I go to their page, I like a photo, I want to eat that. Crickets, nothing. I get zero. I get zilch from them. Like, why? Like, why did I take time to go to their website, put my name in their contact form because I was interested and I don't get an email for 6 months. Are they that busy? Oh, wait, they just closed. They just shuttered their doors because they didn't know how to manage incoming traffic and engage with them. Now, it's a different story when you're a physical storefront, like a boutique, a wine shop. You go in, they say, "Hey, Gabe, what's up, buddy? Nice to see you." They're not going to sit there and ignore you. Guess what would you do if they did ignore you? Leave, right? And I think
100%.
the rules of engagement have become so sterilized before I even became a partnership opportunity that the sterilization of what we feel engagement as true hospitality was so far detached and disconnected that now we're just using AI to expand the gap even more. And
Right.
that's where my ghosted guest says, "Hey, we can have the best of both worlds. We can show you the tools and the people doing it the right and the coolest way. We can drop the names in the room and say, these are the guys to shut, like, these are the guys and girls who are doing it amazing, building the right clients, working with the right systems. And we're basically copying what they're doing. And nobody is a free game. Like everybody's copying everybody who's doing smart shit right now. That is no, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What does true engagement look like? And I think that is the missing gap right now as we talk about, you know, you know, us partying with our money. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's
Can
like,
I share a
yeah,
perfect example? And actually, this was not planned, which is funny because before the show, I was asking you for like, hey, what kind of specific examples are you thinking of in these scenarios? And I didn't even realize until just now that I had this situation literally happen yesterday. So I've got an espresso machine at home. I make my daily cortado. I know exactly what I want and I like and what my wife likes. And so I don't go to coffee shops as much as I used to now because to be frank, I make a better cup of coffee at home. I know it's kind of the same I think for you on the food side, right? Like you could probably have a better meal at home depending upon where you're going. But my wife had told me about this place she met up with some girlfriends. It's a new coffee spot in town. And she's like, you have to try this thing. It's this iced pistachio cappuccino with this salty cold foam. And I'm not usually a super big kind of like sweets kind of guy, but I do like pistachio. It sounded interesting. I needed to get some work done on my book for this. Like, hey, I'm gonna go to Hanks, head to Hanks. I ordered the drink, and I'm like, hey, because I'm a business owner and a content creator, I'm also always thinking about how do I turn a situation, a day in the life, into a piece of content, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm at this cool coffee shop. I'm drinking this cool drink I haven't had before. I'm not just going to take a picture of my drink, but I'm going to relate it to business. And hey, I'm here writing my book. I wanted to give myself a sweet treat. My wife told me I had to try this thing. If your business were a coffee order, what kind of coffee order would your business be? And I'll go first. Hey, mine would be a cortado with a little bit of maple syrup. Here's why. I post that, right? And then I tag the coffee shop in it because I'm like, oh, like I'm going to tag them and see what happens. Ghosted yesterday. Like, so nothing happens yesterday. I'm like, oh, whatever. This morning I see now they at least didn't do the bare minimum, but they, because I had tagged them, they added it to their story, but that was it. Like it was cool to see, but you know what would have been gangster is if they had actually watched my 45-second story and then responded to the question of like, what kind of order would or what kind of business would or what kind of coffee order would your business be? They would have like, if they had shown me any sign that they had actually paid attention to what I wrote rather than just hitting the repost button. It's like, okay, yeah, you could pay some social media manager overseas, $400 a month to just repost
I
the
would
stuff that
say
you get
we're
tagged
paying
in.
someone overseas $400, but they're
Right.
not. Probably
No,
paying
no, no.
$100 a month to do that in town.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is the pain point. And, like, this is the very true essence of like why we exist in this conversation today, right?
Yeah.
You
Do you
have
know, have you heard Seth Godin's definition of being remarkable?
Does it have to do with cappuccinos and cortados with pistachio?
No, but when I first heard it, it was a big deal to me because Seth Godin is this legend in the marketing world. And he said, your job in marketing and he's big on engagement, connection. Uh, he says your job as a marketer, as an entrepreneur is to be remarkable. And what is that? Like, we have to define what that means first. And it's really simple. He's like, do something worth remarking about, make it easy to remark about it. That's it. If Hanks had shown that they had paid attention and had engaged, that would have been remarkable. Now, granted, I'm talking about it on this show, but I've kind of thrown a little bit of shade. Whereas if they had actually responded and done something, I probably would have reshared. Uh, they're going to be top of mind and closer to my heart now when I'm having other conversations, and I'm probably going to be spreading the word and going back. Otherwise, it's like, oh yeah, it was a great little pistachio cappuccino, and I'll probably go back every once in a while, but it's not like I'm a raving fan.
So let's call that out, right? So what kind of score would you give them if that was your business? If you had that social media manager, how would you score them?
Yeah,
A,
okay,
F, C, D, F.
for sure. I think that's a great question. I would give it a straight C average. It's
So
like, okay,
that's
you're
like you got
doing it's
you got a heart.
lukewarm.
You showed up today to work.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
heart.
exactly. You're
Okay,
not getting a D and F. You're not failing. You're doing something, and that's going to be better than nothing. But you're not winning any awards. Like you're not yeah, you're not breaking through the noise. And we all know it's only getting noisier and more crowded and more difficult. And I'll remember you every once in a while, but if you had done something, worth remarking about that was standing out, that's like, how do you get the A? You get the A when you show that you're paying attention and you engage and
so
you
let's
invite.
like what's the strap of like nugget for the listeners, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so we just gave you a C-level grade for somebody who just shows up to work and clicks the button, right? They reposted. That's great. We all do that. We think that is the measurement of success for our weekly reports that we get from our social media managers. It is not. That is the bare minimum. That is, thank you for me paying you, right?
Table stakes.
Show me now. A plus work is, hey, I pay you $5,000 a month for a service and I get $50,000 of revenue in return, which is guaranteed by your measurements of success and reporting to prove that I paid you $5,000 to get a 10% payment towards a result, right? That's business. So we're at a sea level across the entire sea of the industry, right? I mean, I think most businesses operate at that. I'm going to throw it out there in a rough number of like 95% just do the bare minimum. Okay. We've been trained that way. We all believe that way. We think that's fine. It's wrong. Here's an A+ effort. And here's how I would score my team. If they basically just said, hey, Gabe, thank you so much for doing that post. End message, new message. It looks like you own an agency. It looks amazing. And it looks like you guys are into some cool stuff. Oh my gosh. And your kids are gorgeous. Looks like you, love Nashville and, kayaking. Keep up. Way to go. Keep shining. Thanks, Gabe. That's it. That is A+ work. That is called shining. And we say you go out and you take 15 to 20 seconds to give a compliment to somebody who took a moment out of their day to write a post and a comment and tag you on your business so their followers can hear about you. That is magic gold. If you did that, Gabe, would you then say, wow, I got a warm spot in my heart for these guys?
Totally.
And maybe
Yeah.
next time I'm going to go back to eggs, but you get the bare minimum, and you know what that means in the back of your mind, your little subconscious oblongata that wants to go get that coffee next week. What it says to you, it's not going to be that good because they're doing the bare minimum. It is that simple subconscious message. And I'm getting a little extreme there, but we all know what the point is.
No, it's true. Cause it's like, when given the decision, the next time I go into town and want to grab a cup of coffee or work somewhere out of the house, I might go to the shop down the road because their chairs are a little more comfortable. It's right. Where if Hanks had done what you had said, maybe it's hard to say without, knowing when we extract it.
Let's go back to Hanks, right?
Yeah.
Hank sends you a message 2 weeks later, right?
Yeah.
Their engagement manager, which we love, sends you a note and says, Gabe, who's got the softest chairs at coffee shops in Nashville? And you're like, good question. I love this place over on 5th Street.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh, good call. Another week goes by. Gabe, what is your favorite coffee that you've ever had anytime, anywhere in the world? Italy, Abruzzo, this one. Oh my God. Like we're going to find that.
Yeah.
Now imagine they send you a picture of a post from that place because they listened. Took some, 30 seconds to go find that to make your day. And you're like, oh my God. Now this is A++. This takes work and detail, but any little bit today shows that people are paying attention and they care. And that creates a new engagement, a new follower, a new opportunity every single day. So now you're going to think like, where am I going to go back to? I don't care if they have soft seats. They just made a message to me. And now I think that they have a cool spot. Like,
yep,
we're cool. And where do we spend our money? And who do we want to spend our money on?
Yeah. Nice. With people that are cool, that we like, that we feel connected to.
So back to engagement, I mean, this is the world that we're living in, and this is what we're starving for. Like for me, everything we just talked about sounds like something I would want, but I'm not getting, and I'm not getting it like from the restaurants, and I'm not getting it from the boutiques and the places where we buy really big purses, or, like I don't imagine I'm going to get it from a tire company or a gas station. But if you want me to make a decision between you and something else that's pretty comparable at a different price, customer service and engagement and connection is going to be the winner, right?
Yeah, 1,000%. In my early 20s, lived in Orange County, California, and they were opening a brand new Nordstrom at the Irvine Spectrum, which is just kind of like down the 405 freeway from their flagship store in South Coast Plaza in Costa Mesa. And that store specifically, it's interesting. Like they will have tours come from overseas. There would be like buses of Japanese people that would show up to South Coast Plaza to go on like these shopping tours at South Coast. Cause a lot of the big stores, Nordstrom, Neiman Marcus, you name it. And there's just, a lot of money, affluence in Orange County. So they're opening this new store at the Irvine Spectrum, which is this really cool outdoor mall. And I was like, hey, that looks like that would be kind of a cool gig. let me interview. I had been a part of one other grand opening before at a restaurant, had helped open a restaurant, and I really liked that experience. So I thought, oh, this would be kind of cool in retail, and learned a lot working with Nordstrom. But one of the things that really stood out to me, well, really, like, it was two things, and it has to do with how they systematically cultivate that connection. It's because I think a lot of times we as business owners and in hospitality, we think, okay, we don't want to make it sterile. We don't want to like put a process or a system to it because then it loses the human connection part. It loses the art part of it. But I think what Nordstrom did really well is they knew how to bring the system without losing the soul. And it was with two things. One, they'd give you the employee handbook on day one. And the employee handbook was not some massive document. It wasn't a bunch of SOPs. It wasn't a whole bunch of videos that you had to watch. It was a single sentence, and it was use your best judgment in all situations. And they gave you, as the employee, as the team member, as the associate, the kind of freedom to understand what the culture and the ethos of Nordstrom was, which is to take care of the customer. And they said, like, hey, we're going to put that, Gabriel, like with you've never worked here a day in your life. This store does tens of millions of dollars a year, and we have people flying from Japan to come shop at our store, but we're going to trust you, 21-year-old kid, to like make the decision, right? So that was thing one. The other thing is they did have some systems and processes to it. Every day before I left, I had to write 5 handwritten thank you cards. When I'd sell a pair of shoes, if you came in and bought some shoes from me, I'd ask you a question. Hey, Brady, do you mind if I put you in my personal book? I would love to stay connected. If you said yes, great. I'd put your name in there, your address, phone number. If you said no, hey, no worries. We'll see you next time. Thanks for coming in and shopping with us. But if you did, you'd go into my personal book, my little CRM. And then before I would leave every single day, I'd pull out 5 handwritten thank you cards. And I would figure, okay, who in my personal book am I going to send a thank you card to? And it wasn't just some rote like, hey, thanks, Brady, for coming in. I took the time and effort to think of, okay, what's something unique? What's a moment that maybe that we shared or something that we talked about that I could introduce into this? And I'm not asking you to come back in and buy more shoes or anything like that. It was just a genuine connection, a sign of gratitude. And what that ended up turning into by kind of like the byproduct was it turned into more business. I was the first customer service all-star for that store. They promoted me to assistant manager at South Coast Plaza. So they moved me from Irvine Spectrum to South Coast Plaza, which is the flagship store for the entire company. Because I took that one idea that they had embedded in me from the beginning, which was, hey, one, we trust you. And two, we have this very simple system to show gratitude, to connect with your customers. And if you do that consistently, you're going to win here.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of like silver lining there. I mean, and though like I'm turning, half a century.
Let's go.
And so it's, you watch all the people around you and you watch to see how business relationships stay true, how they're fortified. And I've always been, not say jealous, but I always admire those individuals and jealousy because I don't have that skill set per se, but really admire those who write really amazing letters and spend time on thank yous and reconnecting with people and knowing when they meet with them for the first time, they talk about who's your kids, who's your family, what do they do? And they use that as a platform to remember who they are versus business coming second. They always, and those have always been really unique to me, but the one where I think Nordstrom kind of laid this up maybe as a test project, or at least this is a great idea for a test project for new employees to give them that kind of framework. But then one I did for my soon to be wife was that we were in a position, she would work all these events and people would just give her compliments all the time about how great her work was, how well the design was. Everything was like, just so like well done. Of course, it was after she took over all the design for me. So she just basically like polished up an old 57 Chevy, and everything overnight just looked brand new and so amazing. Right.
Yep.
So I just said, keep a compliment book, because she didn't see the hard
Mm.
values of what people were saying. It was blush moments. It was, no, it's not that big of a, like, I was like, write them all down.
Yep.
And if you were to take that book that you had and you take a compliment book and you did that for 15 to 20 years, you'd be a multi-billionaire. Like, you would have remembered everybody and be able to reconnect with them and go back and say, you know what? Remember 15 years ago when you said that, you like how amazing that was? Let me know if you ever need anything. I'm looking for work. Maybe my friends, maybe you have a friend who needs something. People are amazed with that type of engagement and that type of connection. And I think, like, that's the first days of CRM, right? I mean, that's what it was. It was talking to somebody, making them feel seen, reconnecting with them, and not ghosting their ass and then just going back to them when it's time to pull money out of them.
For sure. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is like, we've got a special. Come back and buy 2-for-1 bags. Thanks, Gabe. Not today.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, like right now, I'm getting hit up by a guy. Like, he did all of our cabinetry and our, countertops. Like, it's great. I'm glad he remembered me. But now I've got 3 phone calls and 2 texts, and he's introducing me to other people on his team. And I'm just like, hey, I took a minute to call you back. I gave you the framework in which to work with me, but now it's overselling,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people are using AI to do the overselling, and you see it in DMs, you see it in email, you see it in all these places, right? And people are snipping through this glue so quickly that it's not even fun anymore. They're going to want to have true personal engagement, and they're going to want to see that somebody cares on the other line,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know? So I think what we're hitting at is one part of this show, which is I'm really excited for, is called the ghost board. And how the ghost board works is that we literally like are going to go out into the wild, and we're going to send DMs, hit people's websites, and we're going to be looking for stories to share how people do in real life. And we're going to give those examples. But the best part of, I think, like what we were talking about earlier today, is how do we take the ghost board and turn it into a positive, right? Like, how does this benefit us for, the growth of the show, the growth of our audience and
Yep.
everybody? So let's just say, like, one of my Instagram pages is, food festival. So we're going to go ping it. We're going to see if my team is on point. And if they're not on point, we're going to tear it apart. And we're going to say, this is what we wish we could see from you. And we're going to give real-time points and expert opportunities and advice to those who maybe fail a little bit on the class exercise. And we're going to tag you in it. We're going to put you on stage. So it's a fun way of calling out what's going on so people can start to see this in real time. And we're going to start to help give examples. So every time we show up to a show, we're going to have 10 for the ghost board. And we're going to tell you, hey, 5 of them are restaurants, 3 of them are wineries, 2 of them are hospitality service brands, and 1's this. And we're going to say, this is what we would do just to change the chorus just a little bit in their favor. And hopefully they're listening. Hopefully they can take that advice to the bank.
Yeah. I dig it. I think this is going to be fun. One, just to dig in, and really excited to just kind of share the things that have been working kind of in our respective industries. I come from the service world, businesses that sell services, and kind of financial publishing as a background. Had a photography studio for the better part of a decade, worked in the events business. And then you come from this world of hospitality and events and restaurants and wineries and distilleries and cool product brands that have a lot of soul behind them. And yeah, excited to just kind of share one, what's actually working today, to take that hospitality beyond the walls of your store, beyond the walls of your restaurant, your venue, you name it, and take that online, because so much of our interaction every single day like happens on this thing. Um, and if you wait until someone's in your presence to, have that remarkable situation, you've already lost. Or if you don't carry it beyond, like we, saw with the Hanks example. But I think there's a big opportunity to be really good at that. And I don't think, while it's not difficult, I think it's also not easy. Like the what to do is actually pretty simple, and we're going to like dive into all of that on this show. But the real players are the ones who are going to be able to do that consistently. The couple of things that really drive engagement, that truly do create remarkable situations, that do something worth remarking about, that make it easy to remark it about. Those are the brands that are going to make more money, are going to have less stress. They're going to be able to operate with a tighter team. They're going to have their team who's actually working aligned with their vision of what it is that they want to create. They're not going to feel like a slave master anymore, trying to just extract as much as they can out of this college kid who's working at the front of their restaurant. No, they're going to be able to partner with their team and really kind of create connection and community within the brands that they're building kind of in their local areas. And when people are coming, whether they're coming from out of town or they're homies from the hometown.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the goal here is that we're going to pull real-time examples. We're going to go from restaurant to retail. We're going to talk about boutique hotels, online brands. And the goal here is that we want to give tangible, actionable solutions to listeners that they can use every single day. And I mean, the way that I would frame this, it's every brand with a digital heartbeat that relies on three things: the website, PR, traffic, exposure, something in the PR traffic exposure space, and
Mm-hmm.
social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
They use those three to build awareness and to get business, right?
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? They're not seeing investment. And when I say they're not seeing investment, I say on average, most of the clients that we talk to, they're spending somewhere between $2,000 to $3,000 on web, 2 to 3 on PR, 2 to 3 on social.
And how much are
Every
they making
single month.
back? How much are they making back?
Nothing. They get
Nothing.
they get reports from everyday juniors who are basically running their social media, running their PR, doing their outreach. And I'll tell you what, I think those are the real folks who are holding back businesses right now. They're the ones who aren't training us on this kind of stuff, that we need a CRM tool, right? What is a CRM tool? It is the plug in a sink. So when you're taking a bath, the water is not draining out from underneath you. How many baths would you take if you had no plug, right? Like, but we're using these empty, shallow reports at the end of the month to recognize our investments, but there's nothing left. And I'll tell you, the investment model for us is, if you give us 10 grand, we owe you 100,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the way the money returns. You can get 10% of your money in the marketplace. Why go for less? Why go out for $10,000 to get zero? Oh, because it makes our place look pretty online. That's bad business, right? So I think what is happening is that we're going to be able to take a series of ghost stories, smoke and mirrors, and go move around this whole idea of empty ROI and show people where the light is, how to avoid the ghost, and how to find their guest feel seen, full, and happy to hear from them. You know what I mean? Like, that's
100%,
the
1,000%,
game plan.
1,000,000%. Yeah, that's it for sure. You know what's interesting about this whole thing is, especially as an outsider to hospitality. Now, again, I had a photography studio for the better part of a decade, so did a lot of work in the event space and with hospitality folks. Have friends that own a company called the Venue Report. Worked with a lot of planners, a lot of event companies, a lot of caterers and chefs, you name it. But really, always was kind of like an outsider looking in. I was a creative and an entrepreneur. But what strikes me is that the people that really like should be the best in the world at connection, at engagement, are outsourcing and delegating and abdicating the thing they're the best in the world at. And I think the reason they're doing that is because when it comes to PR, when it comes to social, when it comes to website or CRM, they see the like tactical side of that and go like, oh, I don't know how to do social. I don't know how to do web. So I'm going to have someone else do this for me. When there's a way to do that, there's
to do the website, or you have to.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's a way to do that, but still, like, you keep control of the experience. Like, you've got to use your superpower, which is the ability to create those experiences, connection, and engagement, and then drive the conversation with your social media person, going like, "Hey, this is the experience we're looking to create. How are you going to partner with me to help me create that engagement? Hey, website person, this is the experience we're going to create. How can you help me build my website so that it creates this? Hey, PR person, this is the experience and the connection we're looking to create. How are you?" But instead what they do is they advocate is that I don't know how to do it. So just do PR for me, just do social for me. And then they light money on fire every single month, like you said, and they get nothing but reports. So we got to fix that.
Yeah. And I thought you were going to say that, that the individual is going to see that it's too late. If you're really good at being a restaurateur,
it's too late to apologize. I'm not a singer.
If you just wait for them to show up at your restaurant to show them your superpower, it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
The moment that you go live digitally is the moment that engagement needs to begin. The result and the win is when they're in your restaurant, they're in your place of business, and they're exchanging their hard-earned money for something they believe in because you let them know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Word of mouth is the reason they're sitting in your restaurant. Maybe seeing you at an event, 1 out of 10 decisions, maybe they saw you at an event. Most likely, they maybe heard about you online because you made yourself get to a list. But if they showed up to your restaurant or they showed up to your place of business and there was no one there to greet them, there was no one there to tell them ask them if they liked their food, and there was no one there to comment if they had a good night or not, or if they need another drink, guess what they would do? They would feel ghosted and they would leave and they would come back.
So, you'd never do that. So someone walked into your brewery and they like pulled up to the bar, and your bartender walks up and looks at them and smiles and says nothing and walks away. Like, that'd be the weirdest. Like, that will never happen. Even in the, well, maybe I guess in the worst brewery out there, but like, no brewery is ever going to do that. No winery is going to do that, but we do that every day online. Only because we're not cultivating that experience intentionally, which is not that hard to do.
Well, I mean, let's call it what it is. We're not training, right? Mm-hmm. I can train someone to understand the difference between leopard skin, lion skin, and, crocodile skin on a purse. I know what's illegal, what's doable, what you can sell, what you can't sell, and what is appropriate and what is deemed inappropriate by society. I can show someone how to do knife skills, how to cut an onion faster, how to get the dish out, where the alfalfa comes in the United States, where the brewery hops are grown in the Midwest or the European, Cascades. We can talk about the wine, the region, the name of the winemaker, his dog, and the cat that met. I mean, we know all these details, but we won't spend that on 5 minutes online to help people really feel like we see them, right? We wait until we get them into the door to tell them everything we know. But there is such a blue ocean of opportunity before they even reach the threshold.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're gonna dig into.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. We've got a lot of work to do. So I can't wait for people to tune in again and again. This is a great opportunity.
Heck yeah. I think that's it. I think that's the pod.
That's the pod. Welcome to our first episode of My Ghosted Guest. I'm Brady Lowe.
I'm Gabriel Ryan.
And we'll see you next time.